life. Even psychologists are very aware of this level. Even existentialists talk about this notion that very often this focus on a materialistic culture also leads to a sense of disconnection or an alienation among us. On the one hand, we may be growing more and more wealthy, but on the other hand, it doesn't seem to help us to feel happier. Somehow there is still, it hasn't helped, for example, maybe family relationships. You have less time, you have less energy, and as a result, it creates more problems. So this is the notion of the suffering of change. The third level of suffering, however, the pervasive compounded suffering, is very unique to Buddhism. This is not talked about in other traditions. And this is the idea that the very nature of our mind and body is in the nature of suffering. So it's the nature, this is the root cause of suffering. This is the suffering, the level from which the other two sufferings arise. And unless we understand this suffering, and unless we get free from this suffering, this is the level of suffering that the Buddhists are interested in getting free from. Because as long as our mind and our body are contaminated, and we look a little bit at what they are contaminated by, then we continue to suffer. So, you ask people, it's important to understand the first two truths, because if you don't understand that there's suffering, then why would you be interested or motivated in trying to find the cause of suffering or trying to get out of suffering? So you say, oh no, but my life is going well, there are no problems, I have a good job, I have a good family, but sooner or later something happens, something shifts, something changes. Our relationships don't work out in the way we want to. So as long as our minds and our bodies, if you will, are contaminated, sooner or later suffering emerges. And that is why we are interested in getting out. And to do that, we need to understand what the cause of suffering is. So the second noble truth talks about the causes of suffering. Now, as was said, the Buddhists do not believe in an external creator. We do not believe in a God in the sense that there's something independent, separate, sitting up there, for example, in heaven that you pray to, and you ask for things, and that this kind, benevolent God will deliver. As has been already explained, we see the mind to be the creator of all suffering. All of our suffering comes from within our mind. So if we engage in actions that are positive and virtuous, then the outcome tends to be positive. If we engage in actions that are negative, then the outcome is negative. So the two principal origins of suffering are karma. So karma is definite. Depending on the type of action you engage in, the result is definite. So if you plant a peepal seed, then you will get only a peepal tree. You won't get a pineapple plant. So we have to be very careful of what is it that we are planting. What are the kinds of seeds that we are planting in our mind? And there are three doors, through our mind, body, and through our speech, that we create karma. And then the second level is the mental afflictions. And what do we mean by the mental afflictions? Essentially is that which disturbs our natural state of mind. And our mind by nature is clear and aware. Our mind is not the same as matter. Mind is not the same as the brain. You see, in the brain correlates with what happens in the mind. But the mind is a non-material state. But it certainly impacts both the brain and the body. So, what are these things that affect our natural state of mind, making it unpeaceful? Any guesses? What are the three major poisons?